the easy going growers. We are on the verge of some pretty significant weather making its way here. It's supposed to be getting ice and snow and 50, 60-mile-an-hour winds, but that's all right. We're inside the greenhouse, and this is why we do what we do here. So today's stuff that we're going to be covering here, got our little cheat sheet here, just kind of help keep us on track with what we got going on. First and foremost, yes, the beet is on. We're going to be doing some Detroit dark red medium top beets. These are pretty standard. I think everybody's pretty familiar with these. We're going to be starting some of those. I'm going to have all sorts of these going this year because I did find out that my folks in and around my area, they really want beets. So I'm going to plant a whole bunch. I've also found out my wife really likes beets. So, hey, that is a good thing here. So, but first and foremost, we're going to be getting here. It's basically a greenhouse update. What's growing, what we have, as you can see back here. We've got all sorts of goodies going on right now that I want to make sure that we are, keep you up to date on what we've been working on. We had a live stream yesterday. And again, back here today on Sunday, just kind of doing the thing. So, all right, next is going to be looking at soil prep. We have our pre-made custom soil that I do here. Burn through a bunch of that. I've got enough set for today and then probably the next bit. However, we do need to go through the process of the first step, which is getting the coco coir, which we're going to talk about here, prepped and ready to go. So that'll be a thing. Then we're going to get it. We're actually going to go through the process of starting our beets. We're going to do some of them. Again, this pack that I have here. Hey, what's happening, Aaron? Good to see you. You know what? I'm trying to stay warm. That's kind of where I'm at right now. It's that wet, cold, like it's just above freezing. And we're not raining, but it's that drizzle. It's just annoying enough. And the winds are coming, so it's going to be a thing. So how you doing? So anyways, we got beets we're going to be working on, and then we're going to get into some carrots. I've got some other carrots that I want to get, some different carrot types. Where did I put those guys at? I know they're here. Where do they go? Oh, they're underneath my phone, which I'm using to check the chat here. We're going to just get some carrots started here. These are short and sweets. These I'll be able to do in the container. It won't be as big of a deal. When you get to the larger ones, they need more of a volume and all the stuff that goes with it. So good to have everybody on here, on with us today. So yeah, one thing that I was not prepared for here was how much everybody really wanted beets around here. Like, it was just wild. I put beets out and they would disappear. Same thing with green beans. So I've got a whole bunch of string beans we're going to be doing this year, along with a bunch of beets for especially the early winter crops. And we'll get through all that once we get into February timeframe, January, February. A lot of what we're doing right now is simply just the stuff that we're building out to make sure that we can get through kind of prep and get us in the motions of having stuff in, having stuff in the greenhouse, going through all of our prep and make sure that everything is set up. Because right now, I don't mind if I lose some plants by accident. We obviously want to have them so that we can enjoy them. But, we want to make sure we got, I'll get back to garlic. Great question for garlic, sure. But I want to get through all the kind of, if I'm going to make any mistakes, I want to get them done now before it's real prime time when we get into February, March, when I got to be ready for this, when we start on the summer, the early summer planting. So yeah, with garlic, there's some really good videos out there on YouTube that I would just, obviously recommend. The thing with garlic is it's got to spend some time in the cold. You want to keep it in the fridge, and it's still a little bit early to be starting garlic. But if you go and get your garlic that you want to have from the store, just go grab some cloves, go grab a head or two, put them in the fridge and leave them in the fridge. They need like 6 weeks in the fridge. And once you get through that, then you can start them. And really the starting of them is they don't need a lot of soil to get started per se. They only need maybe 2 inches or so just to put them in, because by the time that they get ready to transplant per se, if you start them, so 6 weeks now, another basically 2 months that they'll be hanging out in your tray, and then you can move them out as soon as you can. Just know that it's going to be a season really before you're really going to be able to get after them. But that's really it. Biggest thing is garlic has to spend time in the fridge. It's got to go through the cooling cycle. So, all right, so let's kind of talk about what we got going on here, guys. We've been staying a little bit busy in here, as always, here in the greenhouse, right? Stuff we're working on. Things that we've had, and just to give you guys an update, bring it over to you. So this is the lettuce that we did, little while ago. Since did a little trimming on it, kind of got it up to speed. It's been thinned out, and now it's just kind of going through the motions here. It got a little leggy while I was gone on vacation, so we're just kind of recovering from that now. And again, it's hanging out under the light, doing its thing. And again, these do not have warming mats underneath them. It's just not something that we have. For these, not worried about it. Once they germinate, and these are cooler weather crops, they'll be just fine in that. So the next thing we got here is, again, lettuce is continuing just to do its thing. There are individual lettuce things here. Again, these are for the chickens. I'll come out and, the next round that we have, this has been more chicken fodder than anything for them. This has been, when it comes to the chickens here, or the lettuce, it's doing just what it needs to do here. And I've got another round of lettuce started also, which is in here, which we'll take a look at here in a second for sure, because it's doing pretty well. We've got our onions. Onions are coming along good. And I've got two basically sets of trays for onions right now. I'm just going to bring the one over. You guys can see here how well we're doing. They're popping up nice. And then these are only really going to be for our, again, for cooking purposes, like Asian cookings. I'm just going to be basically coming out for the greens on this. And these are, this is green onions. They're not meant to get bulbs. That's what happened. I've just kind of got them separated out here. The next round that I do, they're going to be packed in here much, much tighter. But I wanted to, again, go through my practice of having my spacing, seeing how things are going, and also just temperature management. And onions are really forgiving when it comes to that. Just keeping an eye on it. Just keeping an eye on it there. So again, welcome everybody as we're coming into the chat here. It's good to see everyone. We are, kind of cruising along here as we're moving on. So next thing that we got started here, which it's really great to see. You guys saw I put a recent short out there, so I'm just gonna pop you guys off real quick and show you what we have here. So we're gonna start back over. We'll start here because these are up. All right, so these are lettuce, 3 different lettuce varieties and some Swiss chard that I got started. All right, so let me pull this off. And like I say, depending on the weather, one of the things that we have here. So like depending on the weather here, I'll take these off. But like right now, we've got all the clouds and it's just gross out. So I'm not worried about any additional sun or anything. Yeah, if the sun's out, these got to come off because this will roast those. All right, but in this case, we're not there. We don't have to worry about it. All right, so you can see we got some germination going, right? Everything's popping up, and this is just from earlier in the week, so they are definitely coming along nicely here. Again, these are all different lettuce varieties that we have, and then I've got Swiss chard over here, and you can see it's doing its thing, popping up there. So lots of goodies going on there. This next spot is another round of lettuces that we have. And the lettuce varieties that we have going on here, nothing too. This is on yesterday's stream. We went through the whole process of soil prep, tray prep. Again, these where you got these little pods, these little things, prep for these, setting up our lights, right? Having those and the whole idea behind those, and then going through and getting these set up. Okay, so I've got a big old mesclun mix right here, which is your gourmet salad stuff, right? The stuff you normally see like in the bags or whatever. And then we got all these additional lettuces, which are, what I got? I've got cress, I've got endive, and we got romaine along with our gourmet mix there. Okay, so we got that going. This guy doing here, and then on this spot right here, which this is a different variety. If you'll notice here. This is a different variety. So I'm going to hop back in frame here so I can talk to you guys while we're doing this. Bring this over. There we go. I want to be able to talk with you guys while we're doing this here. All right, so oops, get back over here. All right, so on this one here, this is a different style, obviously. If I put this Jiffy brand, which you can get these at any like the bigger stores, these 72 pods that they have set up here. So this is a different variety. Get this off of Amazon. And what I like about these is, one, they're taller. So what's in here is going to be my basil. Okay, basil's going in here, and kind of show. It's just, there's nothing really to start. They're not started per se, but you lock in this into a full greenhouse type setup. You can see how difficult it is to pop this off here because it does lock in, right? What I like about it couple things. One, you get this, it's a higher base. This is 4 inches, right? 4 inches up, which is gonna allow the basil that's in there to grow and just kind of grow up here without me having to worry about transplant. There's no pods in here. These are all just open sections here. You know, it's basically you just drop in your soil. And again, yesterday's stream, we went through the whole process on this. But the reason I like this is because it comes with these vents. So as the plants are germinating, I can come in and actually adjust these and not necessarily worry about taking the top off on these per se if the sun's coming out, because this will allow it to maintain the temperature and the humidity level in here. Okay, and that's what I really like about these. But we've got basil, Genovese basil, this stuff right here. I see it right there. Got a whole bunch of it here, and then gets my leftovers and my burpees here. Not sure how much of that is going to germinate. It's a year old, but I think we'll get a fair amount of germination on this, especially considering, like I said, these are going to be locked into a humid environment and they're sitting on their warming pads, which is the other thing here, folks. You need to have warming pads this time of year, and frankly, into the spring, warming pads are something that you just absolutely have to have. And these warming mats, you can get them. I can pop this guy off pretty quick here so you can see. Super important, folks. You cannot use your seedlings, right? Your seeds that you plant, these are designed to warm the soil up and to make sure that the seeds are at a certain temperature, right? The idea is 70 to 85 degrees. You need to be at least 70 degrees on your soil for most seeds to germinate. All right, that's just the way it goes. That's how the enzymatic stuff starts happening. I don't know all the details like botany science wise, but it is part of the deal where they are designed. They will not germinate unless they're at 70 degrees. And this is what warming mats are for. Now, once they germinate, all right, once we get germination on everything here, like for instance, on this guy right here, where we do have some stuff up, but not everything's germinated yet. Once everything germinates and we go through and we thin these down, this doesn't have to stay on a warming mat anymore. Like that's the thing. Once they're up and going, these cooler season plants, they'll be just fine. So that's kind of the idea, folks, is like, yeah, understanding exactly when and how and what you're supposed to be doing and managing everything. And that's really important. So that way you're not, running the electricity for these unnecessarily, right? You have these up and running, so that way you can get your growth, you can get your germination started, and then you can be done after that. Just a couple updates though. I have the seeds that we're gonna be using this year in the garden. The Organo Republic. I just got the 55 count again. I'm gonna do a standalone video on that. Go through my review, go through the seeds that are in there. Again, just to cover it and kind of so people learn a little bit about that. Again, I'm not sponsored. It's not a sponsored anything. I just really, I like the packaging. I like what they do. They've been responsive. So we have that. Additionally, I'm going to have another video. I have a soil block maker, which is on its way. And there's going to be another standalone video I might have for that as well too. So long forms, which if you haven't seen the soil block makers, what they do is they make the actual 2-inch blocks of soil rather than having to keep using. Do I have one available? I do. I have one right here. Rather than having to keep using these things right here, right? Because I'm trying to move away from this. I don't want to have I'm trying to eliminate as much plastic as I can. These things don't hold up very long, and just, and I don't like, how do I want to say this here? I don't really like to have things that don't hold up. If I can do things where I can invest once and just continue to use it, that's what I prefer to have. Not these things which are good for a season or two and then you got to reinvest again. It's just not part of the hobby. Like, again, for me, this is hobby, but I also food for the family in the area. And I want to have stuff that's more sustainable, frankly, more reliable and dependable. Like, that's the bigger piece. Okay. All right. So that's what we have going on here in the greenhouse right now. Again, just good stuff. And then yesterday also, I'm going to come down here for a little bit. Come on down here. We did some soil prep over here, guys. So with this, we had some soil prep that we needed to do, right? Again, to be prepared for what we had going on here. And The way we do this is I have coco coir, and that's really what we're moving on to next here, guys, is our coco coir, which is this stuff right here. You can get from Amazon, right? This is what it looks like, that premium coconut coir, which is basically just the coconut husk. This is what this stuff is, right? And what they do is they grind it up and they turn it into these bricks, right? They're nice and solid and compressed down here. But in order to use them, we've got to get it into this more, into a softer and break it up, right? And the way you do that is by soaking in water, which we're going to do that right now. While we're in here today, I'm just going to get some prepped. Not going to use it today, but it's prepped for when I need it for later, probably in early January. So since we're in here, I'm going to go through and do the process with it. With that though, what I use the coconut for is I use it to cut my potting mix. So I don't use as much potting mix per se, right? I take this after it gets waterlogged and breaks down. I mix it with this, and it goes a long way because potting mix for good, bad, or indifferent, it does it does cost a bit. This box here was like $18, and I'm on year 3 with this. Basically cutting it, and because it goes a long way, it does go a long way. And then once I actually start compressing and making blocks here pretty soon, I'm going to need more of this just because, again, the cost as a whole, with the potting soil, it's it's expensive. So it's just a way to be able to reduce it. But also it does helps your potting soil out too, because most of what's in your potting soil, I know it seems weird to say this, it's hygrophobic, which is it doesn't like to absorb water. And this stuff, on the other hand, loves to absorb water. And you have those times where your potting soil doesn't necessarily want to get started, has a tendency to dry out. This stuff holds on to water for a day or two longer, which is very helpful, which allows you not to have to worry about overwatering either. And this time of year, because the growing season is actually it takes a little longer for stuff to grow. It's just the way it is. It's not as warm. It'll be during the day 50, 60 here in the greenhouse maybe. But again, light is going to be limited. I have the lights on right now just for show, but during the day, for the most part, they're not on. They kick on at, I have them turn on at 1 in the morning. So I end up with about 12 to 14 hours of light here right now. But everything's kind of slow. And what you don't want to end up having is all of your garden, your seeds and everything, just sitting in wet soil. Okay. And which was what you'll have. So it's a nice little bit of it holds onto the soil. You don't have to worry about overwatering them, and it allows it to drain. So it's good stuff. Anyways, that's a very long, very, very long statement to get to the point of okay, how do we prep this? It's real simple. We're going to take this brick right here, right? Nice and solid. Actually, I got some extra soil in there. Dump that right there. We're going to toss it in here. Then we're going to take our handy dandy watering can. And we're just going to dump a bunch of water in there to start. And you'll see just how quick, and I'll be able to show you rather quickly. You can see how dark it got quick there, but it's going to start absorbing this, and this brick is going to swell up. Right, so I'm just going to drop it in there. You guys can see, probably can't see in there, but it's in there doing its thing. And we're going to come back and look at it here in a few minutes as we go along, okay? Just kind of show you what the change is, how that happens, all right? Cool. All right, so let's get onto our next spot here. We're going to start on our beets. All right, well, our soil prep and everything for the beets. Maybe you guys kind of look over my shoulder if you don't mind. And you can see my setup here. The setup that I currently have here. And this is for the normal show. When I say the normal show, that's not what I want to say. That's not what Ryan wants to say. What I want to say is the Saturday stream. Okay, so typically we're on our mobile. I'm on my mobile here right now. Make sure I'm getting in frame appropriately here. I'm on my my mobile at the moment, and I actually have a full setup where we do an actual overhead cam while I'm talking. Kind of, if you ever watch Twitch, it's kind of like that, where I got the big screen and I'm in the background, and we walk through and just kind of show everything. So if you want to see, if you're curious about what this looks like, really hands-on and seeing it, there's another vid, my last video that I had on there, and go look, and you'll be able to see that. But for now, we're going to move this out of here. Pop this out of the way. So again, it's just a, little zoom camera that just sits there overhead so that folks can see what's going on. All right. Oh, I hope I earned this today. Hope I earned this from you today. Okay. So we're moving on to the next spot. I was just going to be starting our beets here, guys. Again, we're going to get to these. These are the beets that we're going to start. Again, just the Detroit dark red. It's the beet that we all know and love. And I want to use, where is it? Donde está? Oh, here we go. Here we go. Breakout. It's my next. Oh, what's a Twitch? So Twitch is another streaming channel. It's where you watch video games, and typically what you see is you'll see the people playing the video game, and then they have the person playing the game is like green screened in front of it. And that's what I do during this, where you'll see me standing up like this inset while you're watching my hands do some other stuff. So keep forgetting a lot of folks don't know about Twitch. All right, so this is the again, what we're going to use, we're going to use more of these taller varieties here. I'm starting to move over to these because my plan, as I mentioned, is going to be having more of the soil blocks, and the soil blocks will fit in here just nicely. Right, I don't have to worry about any pods. That's going to help me manage the moisture too. All right, so we'll put this here because I'm going to have start my carrots in this one of these as well too. So yeah, so again, folks, when you hop in the chat, do us a favor, everybody here, let us know where you're from. We got folks from all over that hop in on here. I'm in northern Michigan right now. We are, I'm actively waiting for a pretty gross storm to make its way here. And it's Sunday, just enjoying our best stuff here. So yeah, let's get into it. Oh, you're not a Twitch. Yeah, not a Twitcher. Yeah, I do some streaming on Twitch for my business channel. I'm a business coach by trade, and I do actually go on there. I am currently in, I think it's 7B. They changed it a couple years ago. It's 7B. We're in, I'm in, let's see here. I'm in Michigan. I live like right here, and we got Lake Michigan's right there. So it's always pretty humid here. And then during the summer, it's obvious, we're up in the 80s, 90s over here. So like right now, I got a lot of stuff here, but I can start working the soil around March. I had lettuce and brassicas and beets last year, starting in mid-March. And so that's kind of what I'm doing now, is like getting some stuff started here. This is more for me to just get in the rhythm and practice a little bit. Grow what I can. But with the goal of getting this stuff, I'll be growing it in individual containers here. But our next round, that I have a whole bunch of beets coming, and I have a whole bunch of green beans, and we're going to be working on everything to get my brassicas and my lettuce, a whole bunch of lettuce in the ground in March. So a lot of the prep, plus my flowers. There's some flowers I've got to start in. Yeah. So you're in Southwest Montana. Oh, are you guys getting that nasty blizzard right now? That's heading my way. I think it should be about that area. I imagine you're probably. All right. So first step on this is really just getting the soil in here. And one of the things that I like to do, especially in these, these trays that don't have any drainage on them, though, is I do like to kind of just come in and give everybody a little press. And if I had my other one in here, I would just use that. But you can just we're going to kind of compress everything down a little bit. Right. What that's just going to do is going to help with any water, to make sure any water that's coming here, not going to overly disturb too much, right? Because, so next is going to be, I want a nice light layer in here on top. So we do a couple layers. I come in and I compress first. Right, and I have a new sifter coming, because when I come to this version, it's a little bit different what I got to do. But we got this light version on here, right? Just a light. So we got a compressed level. Now we got a light level that's going on top of this, as far as like finely not compressed. I'm going to go through and just pick out, like I said, I don't sift any of this, but we're going to look for any of the larger pieces that are in here just because they're kind of annoying more than anything. Okay, when I have the my sifter coming in, I got a 1/4-inch sieve coming. We'll be putting more fine stuff on top of here. So I'm having to adjust in real time how I actually do my prep. It's pretty wild. So, all right. So we're at that point, folks, where hey, welcome. Hey, welcome. Hey, Sleepy, do me a favor. Hey, where you at? Where you at on the planet? We are growing beets. We're starting beets today along with some carrots. I'm up here in northern Michigan, northwest Michigan, and just getting started here. So thanks for checking in. So one of the things that we always do, all right, is we're going to go through and read, and we do this every single time here. This isn't something that we ever get away from, is read on the back, and I recommend you always do this for everything that you're growing. Always spend time. You're up in Indiana. Okay. We're getting ready to have a pretty crap few hours here. You guys are probably getting rained on pretty hard down there. We're just getting the rain, and it's kind of gross here. But we always want to spend time reading through exactly how to plant these things, learn about them, what you're to expect. And then they're going to give you ideas exactly, hey, how you want to be able to manage your stuff here as far as the beets, okay? And again, these are container friendly, which I like, but let's go ahead and read through. Let's see here. I always want to grow vegetables, but I just want to seem to have a place. Okay. So you don't seem to have a place. So so I have folks that hop on the stream here all the time. Welcome, by the way, on here. I tell folks, listen, if you have access to a windowsill that is south facing, you can grow some stuff. And even if it's just some herbs, right? Get your herbs growing there. You'll be surprised at how forgiving some stuff is well too. There's a lot of tomato. Montana was snow and cold. Whew, man, everybody I know we had like 3 feet of snow and it's gone now. Getting ready to get another foot of snow over the next day though. But anyways, back to the growing things. One of the things you can always do is, get a container and just give it a try. You may be really amazed. I've had stuff grow in places that I didn't think they were going to grow well. So like for instance, I've had some bush style tomatoes that for whatever reason, when I try to grow them in the garden, they struggle at different times, and I put them in containers and half in the shade, and they grow and they do amazing, even though they're supposed to be full sun and all the stuff. So what I would say is just give it a try. You're growing a 55-gallon aquarium. There you go. Exactly. Fine. You can always find a way, like for instance, like on these here that we're using, right? This is its own encompass, it's a greenhouse. You can find these on Amazon, right? It's got everything it can sit. It doesn't drain. And, it's definitely something that you can get stuff growing in and be able to have, especially if you're going to do some herbs, right? Some herbs. This is really good for an herb garden as well, too. So always, again, appreciate it. Don't be afraid to give it a try is what I'm saying. I guess what I'd be going with. All right. So back to our beets here, right? The beet. Okay. The beet is on here. I'm going to read through exactly what I have on there. So these are 59 days to harvest, these are 2 months, right? So we're starting these basically in January. So by the beginning of March. Oh, thank you for that. I appreciate that. Hopefully I earn your subscription on this, Thank you very much. I appreciate it again. And the folks that are on here. So this will be 60 days. So when these are done, one of the things that I would say is, when I'm doing this, we start these now. This means starting in March, I can start my next round, right? And kind of have them ready to go. So those can be in the ground when I'm ready to move into the ground here and start them there. So that's what I mean, where you want to kind of get in the cycle of this, where the goal of a greenhouse is to extend your growing season. Here in Michigan, our growing season is, it's really technically from the end of May into, depends, but usually beginning of October. Sometime that's when our frost, right? So that's June, July, August, September. You got 4.5, maybe 5 months, depending on how the wind's blowing. So one of the things that you want to do here with the greenhouse is to extend it. And so that's the idea. We can get stuff started here, grow it in here, enjoy it, and then also have stuff ready to go prepped to move out into the garden, which then frees up more space to start the next thing. So that's kind of the idea here. Watching from Houston, Texas in the hospital. Oh, hey, hopefully you feel better soon. A windowsill would be, yeah, windowsills are great. You know, they're saying most plants, they're not too picky about where they're, you know, some are very particular and they're very, very specific with that have, but a lot of the stuff that we have, you can easily translate it to some sort of window area on their stuff too. South facing windows. Yep. Yeah, yeah. And that's a great spot here. Thank you, Kevin. That's a good spot. And we're gonna talk about my lights here as well too. You know, even on those, they have these. This is a little 2 foot, you know, 18-inch, 2 foot. I think it's 18 inches. LED lights that I use across here to help augment all the lights that I have, just to give it a little kick during this time of year. Works like a champ. They're not very much. And honestly, I was just noticing on Amazon, I don't know if you guys have seen this or not. So welcome everybody coming in. That you can get these whole setups now. They've gotten so inexpensive and engineered. They actually come with lights on top of them now, where you can add the lights in. So they've got spots where you clip them right in, and so it's all encompassing. You've got lights, you got the little greenhouse bubble, and they're not very expensive on Amazon. So again, there's options there for all of us, folks. All right, so with that, back to this. I want you to read through what we got here. Extremely sweet, perfect round beets, 3 inches across, have a deep red skin, dark red flesh, medium-sized tops. Now, what I absolutely love about these beets, and I grow these pretty consistently, they can well, but they roast up really, really, really well. Pair them with some carrots and some Brussels sprouts. This is a good meal right there. A little olive oil, a little rosemary, a little garlic. Do a little swish, 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 a little salt and pepper. Happiness. Put it at 400 degrees and just let it get nice and crunchy. You'll love it. All right, so we're going to sow in well-worked soil after danger of frost in spring. In frost-free areas, sow in the fall. And again, sow in the fall. These are cooler weather. Okay, so they grow well when it's cooler out. So that's also very important for you to know and just understand when you should be growing your plants, right? When they should be in the ground, when they should be being worked. There are certain plants that they will not do well in the fall. They will not do well in the spring. Put them in the summertime and they just grow like crazy. We know those, right? Cucumbers, tomatoes, a lot of your squash, things like that. So awesome. Thank you for subbing. I appreciate that. Thank you so much. And again, folks, just as a reminder, yes, I have yesterday's video is up where I think it's called Cold Start. You'll see me holding this on there. It's an hour and a half, give or take, where we go through and we're planning stuff. So you can watch the whole thing. So definitely recommend you go check that out. And again, that's part of what we're doing. Saturdays are a live stream like that. I come on the mobile here on Sundays, and then kind of varies what I do during the week. All right. So lots of good stuff there. All right. So we're going to sow in well-worked area. We talked about that. So we're going to sow thinly in rows, 12 inches apart, and cover with 1/2 inch of fine soil, firm soil. Keep it evenly moist. Seedlings emerge in 14 to 21 days. So this is a 3 weeks to germinate these things. So something to keep in mind, right? And then thinned to stand about 3 inches apart when seedlings are 1 to 1/2 inch tall. So we want to make sure we go through that. We're going to be doing some thinning here later this week. When on some of my lettuces that are up, we're going to go through that process of thinning and why it's important, why you have to do it, and you want to make sure you're following the directions. Okay. Have a giant indoor weed growing house. Yes, 100%. And what you just said there, I would definitely recommend that as far as starting indoors, and then move your plants outdoors when you can. There's a couple reasons. We're up in the northern tier, right? Because the sun angle here is just it goes from, basically horizontal, right? And that's when we talk about the way my greenhouse is at, is horizontal to right overhead, because of the tilt of the planet and everything. So it allows you basically to get a head start. And then when the plants, they make that move outdoors, it usually takes a day or two for them to kind of acclimate. And that's the other thing here as well, which we'll talk about, that movement, that transfer from the greenhouse to outdoors. Like in this case, I keep the greenhouse. I have a heater. I have it turned on right now just so it's warmer for me right now. But it kicks on when the temperature is 40 degrees. It keeps the greenhouse at 40 degrees. So in the evenings, that's where it's at. And it struggles at times, especially if it's like 0 out and there's a lot of wind. The temperature in here will drop down to about 32, 31, right? And I'll get some crunches, and you'll see some of the plants will get a little bit burnt. But you want to have it where the temperature, especially up here in the northern area, you don't want to maintain your greenhouse at 60 degrees all the time. You want to have that temperature drop down because that's going to help to hardy up your plants to make that transition outdoors a lot easier. Okay, so that's one of the things just to keep in mind, especially if you're using it to transfer. Let the temperature drop down, keep it above freezing the best you can, and go from there. Okay, so this is a full sun product. These love a lot of full sun, and the full definition of full sun is 6+ hours, and they tell you that. What I love about it is right underneath there. It'll say underneath there that it is 6+ hours. Additionally, we want to have 59, like I said, 59 days of harvest, so 60 days, 2 months. And then we've got the depth on this. So this is the depth these need to be buried. We're going to look at the seeds, and I'm going to show you and talk you through the theory behind that. Is 1/2 inch. Then we're going to thin them down to 3 inches, which, whatever. We want to make it so I can get them out and then move them into other pots. So what'll end up happening is the beets will end up moving into, stuff about this big. Once they get going, I'm going to transfer them into these, and this is more than enough for them to be able to grow and do their thing. You don't need a lot of, you don't need too much per se, okay? All right, so let's pop this open. Now, there's another thing here. So again, I grow a lot of stuff for the family here. I grow a lot of vegetables for my chickens, right? But I also grow for my neighborhood that I have a little bit like it's a donation only veggie stand. And yeah, I had a lot of people ask about radishes this year, as well as like I said, radishes, green beans, and beets. They're on the top of the list here. So, all right. So how far ahead of time do you recommend to start the seeds? So with that, what I would say is understanding when your frost date is at, right? So certain plants, they do okay out in the cold. Like they can get down into the 28, 29. Beets are one of those. They're perfectly fine down to like 28, 29 degrees. They handle it just fine. A lot of your lettuces can be down there at 28, 29. And what I end up doing is I have everything kind of out, and then I'll just keep an eye on what the temperature is supposed to be. And if I need to, I'll go out and I have, I'll throw covers on top of them. I've got a whole bunch of clear plastic cups that I'll just put on top. Or what I did with my tomatoes last year, because we had some late term, we had some late frost showing up. I just came out in the evening, was taking and putting these on top of the tomatoes whenever it was getting below. We were going to get a frost, and they did just fine. So, and I had my stuff out there pretty early. So, if you're all right, I want to try beets this year. What soil temp would you transplant outside? So, it's as soon as you can work the soil and you're not and again, frost isn't your big concern. Like if you're still getting down into the 20s, like low 20s, I'd say hang out for a little bit, wait a little while. But if your overnights are sticking to around, that 28, 29, give or take, if you're still staying above 30, cool, that's perfect. But you got to be able to work the soil, and frost is something you can manage. Okay, like for instance, I'm going to be starting my second round of beets. These guys are going to be going once I transplant these over into the other spots. I plan on having beets out in the garden sometime between mid to late March. And that's going to allow me to, manage those things. So we'll still have frost here and there, right? We're going to have frost, but I can manage it. So that's the idea. That is the idea. So, all right, let's take a look at these seeds, guys. I've been over here, I love the questions. Thank you so much. That's why I'm here today. That's why I come on here is, it's Q&A. Plus, guys, if you have some good ideas, don't be afraid to let them know. So this is where your beets, and you'll see they're kind of these funky looking seeds here. They're kind of weird looking, right? Now, what I would say is I've got these. I'm going to kind of want to say these guys up here because I ordered a metric ton of seeds for beets because I'm going to do a bunch this year. Where is my Swiss chard? Where's my Swiss chard go? So Swiss chard, I kind of treat like a brassica for the same thing. But if you'll notice, this is Swiss chard. The seeds look like beet seeds. They're in a similar family. Okay, so and Swiss chard does really well in the cold also. So it's just one of the things. Now with that beets, on top of enjoying the actual beets, the root itself, right? You can eat and enjoy the leaves as well. So that's another thing that we have going on too. Beets are frost tolerant, as long as it's a light frost. Like I said, you want to make sure you are no hard frost. Like they can deal with it. I had beets that made it through for I don't say 10 or 12 frosts last year, no issue whatsoever. Like I said, I did have to go cover them up. Just went through and just had topside put on them, and then I would come back around and take them off basically by before I went to work. I just go out there and pop everything off. So, all right, let me just check this real quick. Sorry about that. So I am working a little bit today too. I've got a client I got some stuff on. Okay, so with this, one of the reasons like Organo Republic, like the seeds that I get, and I don't, these are burpee that I'm using, but we're going to be doing a review on this year's pack, is it actually comes with kit. It comes with tools, which is really nice. It comes with these little tools that you can use. And now this one in particular, it's for something else, but I like it because I can actually make rows down in the soil with this thing. So what I want to do here is just you guys coming over for a second so you guys can see better. I'm gonna make sure this is in frame as best as I can get it. I got my other phone here just so I can see. All right, we're gonna go through. We're gonna use this. Here we go. And I'm just gonna use this to lightly, very lightly here. I'm not trying to dig in because we're gonna cover these up. Just make some lines. All right, we're just making some rows here. That's all we're doing, roughing it up. It doesn't have to be perfect, folks, because it just helps me more than anything. My old man eyes, right, and with my shakes and all the other stuff that happens when you get of a certain age, I just like to have a little bit of a guide, so that these are going to be in line. Because what I'm going to end up doing is coming through here, and once these get established, I'm going to be pulling out in sections, right, as they're developing, to replant them. Right now, once I have my new again, I'm going to get a soil block maker to make this a lot easier. And you guys will see those. Once you see this and you see the video, you'll understand I'm going to be able to kind of go to town on these things. All right, so here's our beet seeds again. So with that, the reason that they say we want these buried to a depth of 1/2 inch, the rule of thumb is you guys can see that there. We want to plant our seeds twice as deep as they are tall. So like this thing here is around 1/4 inch. So we want to plant it 1/2 inch. Like that's the idea. And because let's say you have seeds and you're not able to find, like you don't have the packaging, right? Like, oh, we're going to do carrots next. Oh no, I'm not sure. But you have carrot seeds. Like, what do we do? Just look at the seed. It'll tell you. You just double the height. Okay. And that's why some of them are simply just like petunias. You put them on the ground on the actual soil, press them in, and that's it. There's a couple of reasons they need sunlight, but because of how delicate and fine the seeds are, right? That's the idea. All right, so we're just going to come in through here, and I'm just going to kind of eyeball these around with the same idea of just keeping enough distance here. You guys will see me as I'm doing this, hopefully. When I have the overhead, it's a little bit easier, but we're going to plant these in a way to make it easy for me to transplant these. Remember, for a lot of the stuff that you're going to be starting, the goal is to transplant it. So we want to set all of these up in a way that's going to be easy to transplant, right, without harming the plant. You've done a good job. You got it growing. It's all happy and getting tall. The last thing we want to do is then come through and do something that is going to is going to damage it after all the time and energy and care and love and all the good stuff that we sent it its way, right? All right, so what I'm doing first here is I think I have enough for the full pan here. Usually Burpee usually has a really good germination rate, so I'm not too concerned on this, but we are going to come back through and I'm going to double up some of these things here. So we just hold on. All right, cool. All right, well, this is Sunday. I guess we're getting a little bit of that. All right. But yeah, I think the biggest, again, so with this, the prep that we've done so far, just to keep, straight on this here, is we prepped. This is going to go under go on a warming tray, right? Because we still need this to be at 70 degrees. So we're going to have a warming mat for this, which I should get go. Well, we'll finish one thing at a time here. We're going to get this done, and then we'll get our warming mat kind of unrolled and start heated up. Makes it a little easier to kind of get things set if it warms up a bit first, right? So we got these going here. And by the way, here's the other thing, guys, and this is we don't worry. Worrying, the thing with worrying, and I get this a lot from folks. They're really concerned about messing stuff up or whatever. What I tell folks, what we do on this channel is we don't worry. Worrying attracts squash bugs, right? We do not want to worry. It's okay. All right. So if you're nervous about doing this, don't be. These seeds know what to do. Just follow the steps, and they tell you on the packaging what to do. There's so many people, they overthink this stuff and they end up, getting themselves into all worked up over things. And that's not what you want. End of the day, we're doing this because we're trying to make some extra calories, just trying to, do some things. We shouldn't be stressing out. Okay. So we don't worry. So if you're concerned about getting started, just don't get your hands in some dirt. You're going to have a good time. And I promise you, the seeds know what they're doing. You just got to do things, which is make sure you got you got decent soil. You got a warming mat for these guys. There we go. And by the way, I always try to keep my seeds around here because during the season, I will randomly, again, it's FYI here. Let's go back up. So during the season, I will randomly just get I'll start stuff out in the garden just to see how it does. So like these are cool weather, but I will throw things out there to see, hey, how well it starts. If I start these in June, how well do they actually taste and what size and how well do they do? So I always try to keep these extra seeds around to be able to have them. And also, frankly, it's just good to have the stuff around. All right, so I'm gonna show you guys what we're dealing with here. All right, so we've got our beets in here, and you can just see I got them all kind of organized here. They're on the little spots that we made. Right, so it's going to give us a whole bunch. What is this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 70. So we got 70 beets that we got rolling in here. There's a lot of beets. Not really though. Once you kind of get into them. But again, it's good. They're good vegetable. They're good greens. They're good everything. So again, hopefully I'm earning your subscription today, guys. Again, I definitely would appreciate it if you have that. And if you can hit the notification bell, like if you hit the notification bell, that's always great. And if you can give me a thumbs up, even if you're not ready to subscribe yet, that's great. But if you at least give me a thumbs up, it helps push it to the algorithm. It gets me in front of more people, and I just appreciate that. So thank you very much for everybody on that who's subscribed and who's hit that thumbs up. So thank you. All right, so now remember we're going to be a 1/2 inch on these. So first is I'm just going to give everybody just a light push to help them be seated. So everyone's seated now. The seeds are seated. Sorry. All right. I'm a grandpa. I'm allowed to have some sort of bad jokes. And we're just going to come through here and just put a light coating of our soil mix on top here. Just light. It looks like a lot. It's not, because we're just going to kind of spread it out. And we're not going to, again, don't worry if it's 3/8 of an inch instead of a 1/2 inch, or if you are at 5/8 of an inch instead of it. Guys, it'll be fine. I promise you. It's going to be great. Okay. So now we got these guys pressed in. Everybody's covered. We love that. We love that for us. Next, we need to get our warming mats out. Where are they at? Come here, guys. Where'd you go? I had you out here. Where did you go? Warming mats. Hello, friend. Ah, here we go. All right. So these are the warming mats that we will be using. You can get these, again, everything's off of Amazon. I just find it's easier. You get the bulk version of this stuff a lot better off there. There's other sites that, like for instance, if you, these trays, the large trays that we have here, like right here. Actually, I don't want to do that. Your standard tray, like these right here. These are the standard tray, like the Jiffy ones that come with the 3-packs. These are called 10-20 trays, right? Because 10-20. You can get these in bulk where they're not going to be cheaper, but you may not use all of them, right? I just found on Amazon, I'm able to get these, the size and the volume that I need at a much, it's just a better quality of stuff. So like, for instance, here I think it was a 8-pack or a 10-pack of these. Which is good. You got to have these warming mats, right, that we were talking about. These seeds that are in here, they need to be warmed up to kept at 70 degrees in order to germinate. Okay, like that's the thing. They don't need sunlight per se, like this variety. Be aware there are some they absolutely need to have sun in order to germinate. Okay, and what we're gonna do is we're gonna drop this guy right down here. I need my rocks. Where do my rocks go? We're not gonna necessarily worry about sunlight on this guy right now, per se, but we are going to get him warmed up and get him rolling. And it's a real simple process. Oops, sorry about that, guys. All right, so got this. I just need my insulation for underneath. So I just have, the way this goes, you're going to have insulation down. So this is just styrofoam. I always keep styrofoam around. Right here, got some styrofoam. Gonna set this guy up right here. And it just plugs in. And it's early season stuff. It is always, I'm always, it's just understood. Warming mats are a thing. Now you need these on here to get the mat, to be able to get the plants to germinate. Like I said, with beets, once they germinate, you do not need to have your, they are not going to need the warming mat anymore. They can just be in here, living their best lives, doing what plants do, as long as they're getting some sunlight. Okay, that's the idea. So we got this set up right now. Just letting that warming mat do its thing. There we go. Do this, do that. Okay. Cool. All right. So we got our beets here. And then, like I said, the other reason that I have these, which I really do like these, is because they come with this. And almost all of these, again, these larger ones, this is a 4-inch as well. So it's going to allow these beets to be in here and get real happy before I move them for a minute. Get some good height. They tend to have these. And what this does, these allow you to adjust the temperature, but also kind of control the moisture too, because they've got these 4 spots here, right? So once we get these in, just like this, and I'm going to put this on lockdown so that all the heat and all the moisture and everything stays in here. It's going to help make this the best environment for these beet seeds to germinate. Okay. So there we go, folks. We got the first one set up. Now all we got to do, just the last bit here, we're going to kickstart it a little bit. Get a little moisture in here. All right. Just enough to get it going right there. Do not need to overwater these things. It's going to go through, it's going to soak up some. We'll just keep an eye on it. I usually have to rewater this after the first one. You'll be able to see because like on this, you get the water cycle starts setting up where everything will be fogging up. And if you don't see it fogging up, it needs a little bit more water. That's really kind of the standard that I use here. Okay. So again, here's our beets. They're doing their thing. What was that? You grow the electric lettuce there. You know, I have people for that. we trade. They grow the they grow that stuff. They grow their stuff. I grow mine. And yeah, we trade. So it's all right. You do you, I do me. It's good stuff. All right. So let's see the next spot here. All right. So the next thing we got going on here is going to be, again, dealing with our carrots. And again, we're going to be going the exact same process here. Just get them started. Now these are, again, a shorter variety on here. They really get 3 to 4 inch. They're not very big. And again, that's why I like kind of growing them here. Get them started in the actual, it's going to be the exact same trays that we had with the last one we did the beets. Just gonna move on to the carrots and do the same thing and do another transplant on these. Although it's going to be a little bit different, but again, to get them started, then we do the transplant and then we let them finish out their cycle. So a lot of things that I like as well on this. So carrots, what a lot of folks don't do is the entire carrot is edible, right? And the you can make a really good pesto out of the leaves from carrots. It's one of the things like when they're growing in here, I can come right out, cut off the tops, blend them up real quick, and I've got a nice little pesto that we can go with while the carrots are continuing to grow. So, because you're going to end up with, the thing with carrots, guys, if you've never grown them, this is something you want to start with, you'll get a foot of growth like in the actual, for the carrot as far as the leaves, right? And the stem will come out. Your carrot's going to be like this big. It's going to be like this little tiny little thing because it takes time to build up the root, right? The actual tuber itself, the root. And it needs the leaves to do that. So when you think like, oh yeah, these are ready to go, look how big these leaves are. No, folks, it's still just growing. So got to kind of understand and make sure you know, like saying, for instance, on here, as we walk through these, right, it is 68 days to harvest. So this is 70 days. You know, that's going to be somewhere north of, that's going to be what's that, 2.5 months, give or take? 60, 70, something like 2.5 months. So, you know, just keep that in mind as you're going through it. All right, let's get my next tray up here. Our next tray. All right. So again, these are the trays we get from Amazon. They're nice and solid. They're rigid. They hold up really well, which is, again, another thing that I really just enjoy about working through with this process on these is that finding and always testing out which ones I like. Really happy with this. What was the name on these things? Just so I can make sure I give them the credit that they need here. Is this just standard 1015 trays? Yeah. This is like the actual name on their 1015 trays with domes, and it's a 4-pack. And again, as a reminder, they're called 1015 trays because they're 10 by 15. That's what it is. So on these other ones, you've got your 1020s, right? A little bit longer. So just understand, so it's real simple. If you're looking for the tray that's going to fit your space, like for instance on these, I've got these 1015s fit really well on my little modular shelves that I built around here. So just keep that in mind as you're doing the things. All right, so we're back at it here. Just like we did earlier. Going to come through and get our soil going in this. Again, this is our pre-made soil that we prepped up. It is, again, it's simply just a mixture of Miracle Grow and our coconut coir, which, by the way, before we get into that, our cocoa coir that we had, again, we were doing our prep for later, and part of that is transforming this, right? This brick that we get their coconut husk comes in, right? Nice and solid here. Well, in order to do that, you've got to add water to it. Well, we got our first round kind of going, and you'll see just how much it soaks up and changes as it gets the water in there, right? And that's what we're trying to do, is just get this stuff hydrated and broken apart. And now you'll see it comes together nice and simple here. And this is what we want to see. This is exactly what I have. And so we mix this up with our soil. So this is prepped. This is all ready to go and going to be able to help me cut down on my potting soil usage per se. So, okay. So this is going to be the same thing here. We're just going to go through and load this up. Oh man, I tell you, we had a nice little break from the weather here. It was nice. It was, I mean, we were down in like, single digits for quite a while. Tons, it was snowing every day. It was just kind of gross. And then we got a little that warm up that happened during Christmas with rain and everything. Man, was that ever great. But those days are over. We're getting back into winter. We had our little reprieve. And then I think the big thing we always look around here is usually in January in Michigan here, we get another reprieve, which I'm hoping where it jumps up to like 50. Really hoping that's the case. All right. So with that, just like before, we're just going to give this a push and press that down, soil, and compact it down a little bit. That's my first time using those. I kind of like it. So yeah, press down. Saves me from having to do those little lines. Look at that. We're going to be able to load this thing up. Okay. And so these need to be down 1/2 of an inch. We can read through here. They are a full sun. So that's the thing with carrots. They're definitely full sun. And again, let's read through it. So this is carrots called Short and Sweet. I got the, it's another Burpee brand. So these are really good at, they have a high germination rate, which is one of the reasons that I like using some of these. So bred especially for heavy or shallow soils, sweet flavored 4-inch roots are bright orange. These are going to go really well with the beets that we just started. All right. And then when we get into the spring, when I've got Brussels sprouts are growing as well too, we're going to have Brussels sprouts, carrots, and beets all together. Just so good in the oven. Roast them up. Okay. See what else here. They're going to sow in deep well-works stone-free soil to after frost, right? These don't do well in the frost, like heavy frost. Light frost, they'll be okay. Heavy frost, and that's down below 25 degrees in Fahrenheit, whatever that is, like -3, -4, anything below that in Celsius. So with this, gonna sow the seeds thinly in rows like 12 inches apart. And again, we're starting them here. We're gonna move them into other containers once they get up and get rolling here. And hey, how's it going? Welcome. Good to see you. Welcome from Germany. Yeah, growing is always good stuff. So one of the things they tell you here is don't transplant as crooked roots may result. I'm not worried about crooked. I've never been worried about that. Now, when I sow out in the garden, yeah, they just go in a spot and I leave them and I thin them out. The thing is there, you're battling here. I have a lot of slugs, snails and slugs, not so many snails. So carrots and a lot of stuff, getting them started, I really challenged. But I have an entire beer method that I use with that, which I'll cover in a video for slug protection. So let's take a look at these here. And carrots are one of the plants that do not follow the normal dogma per se of planting, okay? Because of the type of plant that they are. It's just weird. See how delicate these are? These are very small seeds, carrot seeds. Very, very tiny. These need to be buried a 1/2 inch down, though, is what they recommend. Now, these would be like 1/4 inch, I'd be my guess, 1/4 inch or even 1/8 inch. But they want them down a 1/2 inch. And so we always, and that's why we read through, we always follow the planting directions. Okay, so up next, what we're going to do here is same thing. I'm just going to come through, give you guys a look at this here. Watch me work. By the way, I appreciate everybody's been hanging out on the stream so far. Hopefully, I earned your subscription here. Matter of fact, let me just pop that back up there. There we go. So that is in view. So what we're going to do is, just like we did before, again, these are our carrots. I'm just going to kind of spread these out here and make a nice whole little path of these. And this will allow me to grab them kind of in clumps and chunks and everything, thin them down when I do the transplant. Again, they say don't transplant. I'm not worried about that. I don't care if I have crooked carrots. They end up getting roasted anyways. Oh, hey, what's happening? Welcome. Where are you at in Michigan? I'm up around the Ludington area. Welcome. Good to have you on here. And we're doing carrot seeds at the moment. move out of the way here a little bit so you guys, I didn't realize how much of the camera I was blocking with that. If I had my producer, you're down in Lansing. Oh, you guys getting a lot of rain right now? We've had this like gross drizzle all day today. Right. Oh yes. Yes, sir. Yeah, it has raining, yeah. Oh, from Nova Scotia. Awesome. Yeah, no worries. Again, carrots are one of those things you typically just sow them in a big old line, right? But I like to start off. I like to have stuff growing in the greenhouse here. So we are just gonna kind of have some going here, and I'm putting. You guys are gonna see. I'm putting these out here pretty thick, as far as how much I'm putting on here, because we are going to. Oh, from Indonesia. Awesome, awesome. Oh, I miss living over in that general vicinity of that area over there. Can't get canned lychee around here. And I'm one of the weird ones. I like durian fruit. I'm one of those weird ones. I don't know. I just like the texture and flavor. But anyways, when you guys take a look here, I want to just double check, make sure I got this. This is pretty. I'm putting them on pretty thick here, and there's a reason for that because we're going to be thinning these out, and I want to be able to pull them up in clumps and then move them over there. So, give you guys. All right. So again, one of the things when you're doing with the container plants like this is meant to get started, and then we're going to transplant. Again, we don't transplant carrots. I get it, but I do. It's okay. You do you. It works for me. All right. But you see, I've got them in the rows here because we're going to be pulling out chunks. Like when I come through, I just put a little line through here. I'm going to grab them like that, right? So they'll end up being a couple carrots per pot. Like that's the idea. Okay. All right, we got them there. Looks pretty good. Nice and thick in the lines there. Dude. Oh. So, no worries. Your English is great. Trust me, your English is better than my German. Was ist los? That's about what I got. So I make these for myself, and I also have a donation only vegetable stand that I have out in front of my house. I live in an area that's kind of in a food desert, although we have farming everywhere. It's a lot of that are, they're older, a lot of very rural folks, don't have a lot of money. Not like I'm rolling in a bunch of cash or anything. But I do want to have, but I put it out there so they can come and get access to fresh vegetables and fruits. I do flowers as well. We're going to be growing flowers. I got a ton of flowers that we need to get started here, later, middle of next year, like in around March timeframe. That I have them out there, and folks can come take whatever they need, and they can leave the donation for whatever they want. I have a lot of folks, honestly, they just come up and grab vegetables and they never leave a dime. So, hey, what's up happening, Ryan? Welcome. Virginia's in the house. We love it. But they just come and get their stuff, and that's fine. I just want people to be able to come get food. Like that is the big thing for me. I want to make sure folks have access to these vegetables and stuff. So, again, part of why I do it, I get a little money from it, but it doesn't cover any of this stuff for the most part. But a lot of it, frankly, I just like having access to fresh greens, fresh food. That's just me. All right. So the next step we got on here, guys, is I'm just going to go through. No, not the subscribe button. Where'd you go? Come here, you. Come here, friend. That's what I get for having it flipped up like that. All right. Anyways, we're just going to go through, and I'm just going to press these in a little bit. Nothing crazy, but we're just going to press them in so that they kind of lock into the spot where they're at. There we go. And we're just going to cover it up with some more of our potting soil, right? And again, this is our mix that we made. When you say for Indonesia, I haven't been to Indonesia. I lived in Guam for a couple of years. And it's not necessarily in the same, it's still, they're 4 hours to the west to be able to get to Indonesia and stuff, 6 hours, whatever. But just the Southeast Asian fruits and vegetables were pervasive on Guam, and I got really spoiled by having all the good stuff. So, the lights. Oh yeah, which you want to see my grow lights that I have? Sure. Yeah, we can take a look at those. Let me pop this off real quick. Here we go. Okay. What just happened here? Oh, there we go. Sorry, hit the wrong button. Different lights here. These are from Amazon. This is a set of 4 lights that we have in. You know, they just plug in down here, and you connect them and drop them over exactly where they need to be at, and you just connect the power, and it follows, and it goes to the next one. And when I move this one, I've got to get it set up here so I can get another set of another warming mat here, but I will just have this guy here. We'll just connect it just like that. Okay, so that's that one. Those, I've had those last year. They work really well. And those are, I think, 18 inches is where those are at, 15 or 18 inches. And then this guy here is a 4-footer light that I have. You can see it nice and bright there. And it's down here, making everybody happy down here as we're rolling. And this one, it does have the ability to expand over here, but it is a, oops. Hold on. All right, sorry about that. It is a, like a standard plug, not the little connectors like these ones. Okay. So that's the lights there. Okay, great question. Thank you for asking. All right, so next up here. So with our carrots, where we're at here, we've got them pressed in. They're kind of doing their thing. We're gonna do the same thing. We're gonna come across here and just cover them up. Now remember, these are looking for a 1/2 inch of soil on top of them, which we're going to just cover them up and just be okay with whatever, you know, not worry about, did we get a 1/2 inch? Is it 3/8? Is it 5? Don't worry about it. Just get close, guys. Big thing is we just want to make sure any big chunks are off here. I have a 1/4 inch screen coming that is going to be specifically for this task right here to remove the mulch components from the soil. Help it out there. No, you're very welcome. Yeah, it's everything I get off is off of Amazon. You know, and so this one in particular, it's from Barria, B-A-R-R. So it's B-A-R-R-I-R-A. Barria. Yeah, I sound like Scooby-Doo when I'm saying that. Barria. Anyways, that's those set of lights. I don't remember the name of these lights, but you can get, like I was mentioning to someone earlier, you can get this full kit. Right, this is the 4-pack, these 10, 15 trays. You can get them where they come with lights on, like actually on the top here. So you can just have it a standalone, just sitting there doing its thing. So, you know, perfectly fine. And we'll go over the tops here again here in a second. You can see that. All right, so we kind of got this lightly pressed down again. And we're just going to give it a little kiss of water. Everything's already got water in it, but we're going to give it a little bit more. Simply so for a couple reasons. One is, you know, they're going to need it for all the work it's going to do. But 2, there's still parts of this a little dried out. It's going to rehydrate everything. And it's also going to allow us to control the humidity inside of this thing too. That's one of the reasons that we have, right, the dome system, why we get domes, especially here like in this greenhouse. We're able to manage the heat, the temperature, and the humidity level through the vent system on here. Because this is going to lock in solid. And now you got everything here. So, yeah, Merry Christmas to everybody out there. Hopefully y'all had a good holiday out there, however you celebrate. So, yeah, absolutely. So, welcome. So, yeah, there's our carrots, guys. They're living their best life. Now, what I'm going to do here is I've got my pen. So, this is carrot. And we're going to do it on here for this bottom one here. Today is the, 29th, 27th? 27th. Yeah, 20. Use my old man glasses here. Why can I remember it's tiny, the date thing on here. It's probably regular. It's probably not tiny. I just can't see anymore. All right, so 12/28, and these are 68. All right, so what I wrote on there, guys, is this says carrot 12/28, which is today's date, and then 68 for the number of days. that it is for these can be ready to harvest, right? That's the idea. So just so I can be aware of those. And then down here, we're gonna do the beets real quick. Same thing with our beets here, right? The beets that we have that are in this one right here, which we have sealed up. So these are beets. Beets. This is today's 12/28, and then 59. It's pretty wild that these big old beets will be done, technically be done before the carrots. It's interesting. Vegetables are so cool. Gotta love them. Okay, so the next thing is I've got to drop this guy down here. Let's make sure I'm in frame here for you guys too. So man, those are those are really good questions. I like that. So it doesn't have a thermostat per se. It regulates at 70. It regulates around 70 to 85 degrees. That's where it regulates at. So what I would say is it probably heats up to around 85 and just stays there. What typically ends up happening when I come in and I check this, it's always like between 72 and 74 degrees is kind of where these live at here. As far as for watts, let's see if we can figure that out. I don't know. I've had this whole thing strung with warming mats for like ever and a day before and never had an issue. I'm sure. Let's see. I don't know the answer to that one. That's a good question. Let me find my glasses because old man. All right, we're an old guy here. Is there a watt on this? Wattage? Nope. Not, I'm sure I can find out on. It's not, it doesn't look like it says. So this is 20 watts. HCF0042. I'm just kind of figure what it's got here. So it's 120 volts, 20 watts. Where it's got right there. Ugh. So, yeah. 120 volts, 60 hertz, 20 watts. Where it's at. I live in the United States. I'm in the state of Michigan, which is cold. Let's see. I'm gonna drop that down. So it's yeah, it's cold here, that's for sure. That's this area. We are definitely chilly around here. Where is the next bit of insulation at? Where you be, man? Where you guys at? Gotta go grab some more. So we'll do that. Well, I guess I can put some bubble wrap down. It ain't gonna hurt nothing. Oh, no worries. Yeah, no worries. Thank you for asking. I can't believe no one's ever asked me that before, and I didn't even bother to look. So we're gonna do a couple things of bubble wrap here until I can get. I've got styrofoam insulation in another section here. But this will work for right there. Where'd my stones go? So I get this on here. Okay. So other things, just as I've learned, guys, do your best to always have your wires and everything be on the far side of the table. Okay, do your best because it starts getting a lot of wires going on here pretty quick, to say the least. And I come through. Oh gosh, I'll come through probably later this week, not on stream, and I'll do some cable management on this, guys, just to pretty it up a little bit. All right, so with these don't. So with this, a lot of what I'll do here also, guys, just kind of, I'll have a lot of the stuff that I'm starting, I'll just have down on this lower level. It gets enough sun where it can see. These do not need sunlight in order to germinate. So can you German a little bit? Let's see, Mischeisen mein Hosen, right? That's the one. I think anybody can put two and two together. That's about what I got. I said that to a German lady, friend of ours one time. She nearly spit out her wine. We're having some glute wine, and it was almost an adventure. So, anyways, so we have, these don't need sunlight. The stuff that we just did in order to germinate, they need They need soil, they need water, and they need temperature to be correct. And the light is what it is. Once it's up, they're going to need light, and then we'll move them around appropriately to the, get a grow lights for them and have them set up. But we get enough light here starting in February where, the grow lights are nice to have. They're not necessary. They're good when you're getting the plants started and it really gets them growing. But once they get a couple, once they get developed to a certain point, certain height or whatever, you don't necessarily need the grow lights anymore around here because we're going to have all the light pouring in here. It'll be great. So yeah, so we got our carrots done. We got our beets done. Let's kind of do a recap here, guys. It's been a good stream. Appreciate everybody. Lots of good questions on here from everybody. Thank you so much. All right. So yeah, I figured that was going to be the response to bias. I had that feeling. All right. So things that we kind of covered today, again, we went through and, we covered what we had growing in the greenhouse here. Like I've got lettuce started here. I got lettuces that are going there. I got another round of lettuce here. I like to have greens going. Greens are always great to have growing in the greenhouse, folks. They're cold weather. They do really, really well. So, and just that's part of what we're talking about here is making sure you're growing the correct stuff at the correct time. Okay. So when you get your stuff in the greenhouse, it's cool weather, have cool weather things in here. They're going to do much better. All right. So went over our lettuce. We went over the stuff that we currently have going out here. Got our onions, got some other lettuce. Right. And then, other things that we had going. We went through some soil prep. We talked about, again, our coco coir that I use. Again, these blocks of compressed coconut husk, but you have to rehydrate them to be able to use them. That we use here. Yeah, heating system. That's great. You know what? Yeah, let me cover that real quick. I do have a heating system. I use this guy right here. It's a Vivo Sun heater. It's a workhorse. It does the thing. It keeps the greenhouse right around 40 degrees during the the overnight hours. The reason I got this one is because I don't need it on all the time. I take it off when I'm in here working, but we replug this thing in. It comes with a thermostat. I have this Vivo Sun thermostat. It's got a little temperature gauge on here, right? Little probe here. And it kicks the heater on when the temperature drops below 40 degrees. So that's the heating system. And that's why, again, I say keep your cool weather crops this time of year. They can come in here and just manage. Yeah, and this was like $35. It's probably, $4,000 now with inflation or whatever's happened over the last year and a half. But it's there. It's a workhorse. It does great. I've had zero issues with it. Hasn't popped, so far. Knock knock. Hasn't popped any of the breakers. So, I also do outdoor. Yeah. So, for folks that aren't familiar with the channel here, this time of year, obviously, I'm in the greenhouse. It's snow and ice and nasty outside. I have a 50 by 25, so 50 foot by 25 garden that's right here. It literally connects right to the greenhouse here where we're out doing all the stuff in the greenhouse. I have raised beds throughout. We have compost that we do consistently on stream. There's anything really outdoors around the property. I usually have the camera going and we're out talking and learning and just sharing better ways to do things. Okay. I have a little orchard that I have set up on the east side of my property as well. So yeah, a lot of those things going on. I have chickens. So there's a little bit of everything here. That's what we do on the channel. Again, hopefully earn your subscription. You can go and just check out some of the videos that I have here too as well. So, hey, Don, we're just wrapping up, brother. Hey, it's good to see you on there. Yeah, I want to get some stuff going. We got some beets and some carrots taken care of. But I'll show you guys again that coco coir that we have. That this is after it rehydrates. Now you're good to go. And it's simply just in there to help the soil soak up, retain moisture, right? That's kind of the biggest thing here. Because again, At what point do I turn the heat? You mean after they germinate? Is that the, yeah, after they germinate? So once they germinate and they have their first, again, they get their first real leaf, right? Their true leaf that they have. That's when I take them off the heat. Because at that point they've moved from from the seedling, now they're an actual plant. Like they're growing at that point and they don't need everything else. They're producing enough energy to where they can thrive at that point. So at that point they're off of the heat and they're just living their best lives here because they're going the ground here. So they grow around here, no problem once you get to that spot. So as far as fungus gnats, out here, no. In the house, yeah, from time to time. I do get those with some of the house plants that I have. So the best known method for that really is anytime, which I learned, and I haven't had the problem, knock on wood, for the house plants in quite some time when I've been transplanting and setting them up, is I use boiling water to hydrate the soil first. I actually put it in there and I boil up in my kettle and I boil the soil, right? And then go from there. And really what that does, and then I'm allowed to from my compost, I make some compost tea to reintroduce healthy bacteria back into the soil without the gnat. So that's how I take care of it. I just boil off anything for the house plants. Out here, I'm not too worried about per se. So yeah, I have 4 seasons here also, but I always feels like, so in Michigan, the seasons are winter. We have a 42-second spring. Then we have construction. We have a 50-second fall. And then it's winter again. Like that's kind of where we're at. Not a lot there. So, but all right, folks. Well, listen, we've got the beets are in, the carrots are doing their thing. We're moving along here. And by the time that we get to February, by the time we get to February in the greenhouse here, folks, I'm going to have this entire area is going to be full of plants. So if you want to learn more about how to operate in a greenhouse, again, I'm not an expert on these things at all. I'm just a dude comes in here and I've been doing this for a few years now. So that's why we're here sharing information. But if you want to come in and learn and just kind of watch me stumble through this, again, hopefully earn your subscription. Be sure to hit the notification bell so you know when I come live. But we're getting back in the rhythm here, which means we're going to have a Saturday stream, which is going to be the long form. So it's the wide angle. Sundays, we come in here just like this. And then during the week, sporadically, Tuesday, Thursdays is kind of what I'm shooting for right now for our again, streams just like this that are going to be on mobile because we have things that we got to do. Next break that I have in the weather, which will probably be in mid-January, we got to do compost, which means I got to break all the compost apart, put it back together, warm it up with some water and some fresh greens, and kickstart it again. So that way it'll be ready for when we got to get the garden ready. So things like that, guys. That's what we really do a lot here. So with that, I appreciate everybody who's been on so far today. Take care, and I'll see you next time.